Okay, fellow citizens, all these little black things you see are little pieces of electrical tape just to tie up little worn out holes. Anyways, this video is being made on July 26th, 2014. Hang on one second. I'm smoking my cigarette. It got a little wet because I set it down on the ashtray and that got wet because it just got done raining. Anyways, let me get to the point of this video. Before I get into the details pertaining to the subject matter, and this is going to be a very short video because I'm running behind today, schedule-wise. I'm showing you this video picture of my phone. As a result, you can see that it's July 27th. My phone is saying it's the 27th, so I guess I must be a day behind. I spent the weekend here at this hiking area, so I don't really pay attention to the date when I'm spending the weekend at my hiking area. So it's obviously the 27th of July at 12:06 p.m. And I'm going to use a feature in the phone called the voice command, which in turn enables the phone to state the date electronically. You'll understand why in a second.
Say a command. July 27th, Sunday, 12:07 p.m.
Now, I use the voice command feature to state the date and time because I'm also tape recording. My verbal statements that I'm making in this video. When I leave here every day, I lock up this tent, okay, with an actual physical lock. I also have started to use, ever since July 9th when I got assaulted at this area, pieces of twine that tie down the black flap that gets pulled in front of the tent before I leave. So twine is on each end of the flap. One that gets tied to that pole, the other one that is attached to the opposite end of the flap gets tied to that tent pole. Okay, and the tent itself is actually physically locked up with this lock that I'm about to show you right now. And that's this one right here. Okay, now you can go to Google and YouTube and type in "learning disabled woman makes predictions at hiking area." Any video that is online, okay, or any verbal statement that is on any of my audio files in relation to anything that might happen at this hiking area, the very hiking area that I was assaulted at on July 9th, 2014. If anything happens to my property, including property that's hidden close by out of sight, if anything happens to me, definitely including assaults, if anything happens to me at this hiking area that produces the police to be called, and then I have to move as a result, and or the property owner. If I come back here on any date and the tent is missing and a trespass notice is put in its place, or if the landlord appears, the property owner appears and says, you gotta move or we're gonna call the police, understand, it'll be gang stalking related. Now, in order for you to think, you might be thinking to yourself, well, how would the property owner know I'm here? And how can a property owner be brought on board in gang stalking expeditions? Well, just go to Google right now, if you feel inclined to do so, and type in property owners / landlords and gang stalking. Property owners / landlords and organized stalking. These are the kinds of descriptions that are already being used anyways to create the homelessness of the target. That's right. Just Google it extensively, spend at least an hour and a half in research just pertaining to those two descriptions, property owner and landlords, and you will see that it is all over the internet that they're already being used to create the homelessness of a target. Now, I'm gang stalked through this area. I got undisputable proof I am. Undisputable proof. Okay? In fact, I've even been on a national radio show when they were covering gang stalking on September 17, 2013. 2013. You can go to Google and type in Clyde Lewis Ground Zero Show and look at his archives in reference to his previous shows being archived, so you can go back and listen to them. Research that date, September 17, 2013. You'll literally see me being on that national radio show because I was literally here at this tent when I was listening to the national radio, when I was listening to his show, and since he was covering gang stalking, I called up and asked to speak to him so I could expose my story concerning what was happening to me as a result of me being a gang stalking target, and he accepted my call. I was literally on a national radio show stating what I put up with along my routes and at this area. And what I described in reference to what I put up with at this area just alone, as well as me describing other things that I'm putting up with along my routes, has been caught on audio files and video files before and after the show. concerning individuals at this hiking area. In fact, today's date is July 27th, 2014. I was assaulted at the very spot I'm standing at right now on July 9th, 2014. Keep that date in your mind right now and set it aside. 2.5 days before that assault occurred, I made a video file at the very spot I'm standing at right now, where the assault occurred at on July 9th. I made a video file on July 6th, standing at the very spot I'm standing at now, stating, let's see if any problems happen here, including assaults. And then I was assaulted 2.5 days later at the very spot where I'm standing at right now, 2.5 days later. And the assault was caught on video as well. And the police were called. And they saw a video of the assault. Now, what is the likelihood of that occurring, especially since every other assault that I've endured, 4 now, all of them have been predicted in, 2 of them were predicted in email files. One was predicted in a video, and the other one was predicted, the January 30th assault, which happened right across the street from here, was predicted that morning by me 8 hours before it occurred, 90 seconds before it occurred, and then 30 seconds before he approached me. That's right, in an audio file. Every single assault that I have endured has been predicted. To prove it, go to YouTube and type in learning disabled woman brutally assaulted on an MTS bus. That's a video of me being literally assaulted by an individual who had engaged in gang stalking of me on that bus route on prior dates and on the morning before the assault. That's why they only sent a 2-minute video, because of what he was doing 5 minutes before the assault. Now, go into the description of that YouTube video and you'll see some blogs and some other information in the description of that YouTube video. Go into those blogs and open them up just by clicking on the links that are in the description of that YouTube video, and you'll literally see a attached PDF link titled Assault 11. Once you click on that, it opens itself up. And guess what it's in it? A printed out and scanned email file showing that I predicted that assault just 11 days before it occurred. Also attached to that PDF link is MTS documentation from MTS, Metropolitan Transportation Services, acknowledging that the assault occurred on that date, October 10, 2011, which ended up being 11 days after the email was made, which you can clearly see is dated September 29, 2011. Now, every assault that has happened towards me has been, 2 of them were predicted in email files, 1 was predicted in a video file, and they were all predicted in audio files. I'm in San Diego, California, and my name is Leslie Williams. Then go to Google and YouTube and type in learning disabled woman exposes how MTS assault video is altered. Why the hell would MTS send me an altered video of me being assaulted? Okay, so I'm making this video very short. It's already longer than I wanted it to be. Now, when I come back to this tent, if it's damaged in any way, because it's raining out today, and they did that to my tent in Connecticut. I was living in Connecticut for a few months before I came here, and in Connecticut they knew I was staying in a creek bed. I didn't know that creek swells up when it rains. They knew it. Okay, so what they did was they came down and slashed up all the sides of my tent in Connecticut, including the bottom, because they knew that it was going to rain that day and the next day, which ended up entrapping me in a swollen creek bed. I had to literally call 911 to get me out of there. Now, as you can see here, they came down here. Let me just partially close this up for a second so I can show you what they did. On February 27th, 2014, they came down here and slashed up this tent and got inside of it. And I had to fix it by putting produce ties and electrical tape on it to fix it so I could continue to use this tent. That happened within 2 weeks of me putting this tent up because they damaged the zipper on the last one. So that just 2 tents alone cost me $80. $80. These filthy whores don't give 2 shits about what they do to Target. They're involved in human trafficking. Do you really think that they care about what they're doing to a Target? They're the ones who created the homelessness. Do you really think that they care about what they do to the Target and or their finances? No, because they're wild, filthy, criminal whores. Okay? Alright, so I gotta go. So what I'm doing right now is predicting what they might do before they do it, because this is what I do. I predict what these filthy sewer rats, skanky little snakes, rats, do before they do it. And then when they do it, I then fold that current evidence onto all of the other prior evidence, which is astronomical. You just would not believe the evidence I got. It's undisputable. And I'm literally talking in your face undisputable, completely undisputable, in your face, in your lap evidence. Okay? In other words, if you saw the evidence I got, there would be no way at all that you could even begin to think that this is not evidence. Literally. Okay, so the point I'm trying to make is that it's my intention to undisputably prove, which I already have. Go to YouTube and Google and type in learning disabled woman exposes evidence of gang stalking. Learning disabled woman catches gang stalking. Learning disabled woman catches gang stalker admitting sent to harass. Okay, that's right. Just YouTube and Google those 3 descriptions just alone. And look at all the different video files of me catching individuals saying gang stalk, oh my god, gang stalk in the background around me. Gang stalking, oh my god, gang stalk, weird, crazy, oh my god, gang stalk in the background. Okay, they rotate their scripts. Repeating words and phrases around the target individual is how they let the target individual know they're being gang stalked, because they got to know where you're at to do it. They're called sensitization methods. And I got 800 audio files, literally at least, of the same exact, to a T, identical verbal harassment happening around me every day, everywhere I go. I went to Comic-Con 2 days ago and caught it being said probably very close to at least anywhere between 75 and 100 times being said around me. And I was only there for about 2.5 hours. Hang on a second. Okay. Now what is, and I predicted it that morning in La Jolla before I left La Jolla to go all the way downtown to go to Comic-Con. So if I predict something, and a running tape recorder reflects the date and time, it shows all the time that elapsed from the time the prediction was made up until the time I arrived at Comic-Con. Okay, you can clearly hear on the audio file that I was at Comic-Con because people were talking about it. Okay, so if gang stalk is being said around me anywhere between probably 70 times and 100 times around me just while I was there for 2.5 hours, that might be exaggerating a little bit. It could be like anywhere between probably, to be totally honest with you, because it's very easy to, at times, it was said so often at Comic-Con, I literally am having, because it just happened 2 days ago, so I'm having a hard time like gauging how many times it was actually said. To be honest with you, I think it was probably said anywhere between 30 and maybe 45 times. At least. Okay? And I didn't do a lot of walking around when I was down there. Okay? So, when you look at it, I predicted it in a tape recorder, which is even running and recording right now. Okay? As you can see. Okay? I predicted it on my way to Comic-Con while I was still in La Jolla, before I caught any buses and shuttles to go there. And then the time that elapsed on the same recording audio file that the prediction was made on in La Jolla shows an elapse of time in all the travel routes to get there, and then it being said once I'm there. That proves I was stalked from La Jolla to downtown to place this crafted harassment around me. Stalking to gang up on you. And they intentionally let you know they're doing it by literally repeating the name of the crime that's happening to me. Gang stalking. You just would not believe the evidence I got. It's undisputable. Alright, so, excuse me. What I do, and which is what I'm doing right now, this video applies for the next 30 calendar days pertaining to the area that I was assaulted at on July 9th, 2014. Now, what I do, okay, again, I predict what these little filthy rats are going to do before they do it. And then when they do it, I just continue to fold all the current evidence back onto the past evidence, which proves stalking on more than one occasion, which makes it a felony. You can go to YouTube and type in gang stalking bullying on steroids to see a little gang stalking target being covered on the news. Okay? And you literally hear a police officer in Santa Cruz state that gang stalking has been going on forever, that it's reached out into the cyber world, and that it's a felony. Okay? So, you know, that's why they wait until after I leave the area before they come down here and pull shit. And getting a property owner to friggin' come down here and put a trespass notice on my tent? What's that all about? Because they're trying to steer me to another hiking area that's more isolated away from neighbors who are across the street in those condos and neighbors that are up the hill. When I was brutally assaulted here on July 9, 2014, I pressed this sports horn, which you press and a loud beep comes out. And I was yelling, help me, help me, help me. Okay, and I then called 911, and they told me that a neighbor called 911. If they evict me from here, they believe that I will end up going to places they've already gang stalked me to, that I have dropped property off at to use as emergency hiking areas. There's no neighbors at those hiking areas. They could come down and rape me, assault me, rob me, or all three. And since when the San Diego police came here on the July 9th, they didn't do a damn thing. They didn't follow any of my instructions in reference to any of the neighborhood homeless people that are being used for this. They did not go and check the area where I pointed them to in reference to where the assailant that assaulted me went to. That's right, and they haven't been back. I'm in San Diego, California. My name is Leslie Williams. Now, so what I'm doing is, if any event, I'm just flat out stating it, if any event transpires here, assaults, thefts, robberies, and coming down here and stealing my shit or damaging it, is there a way to bait me to call the police? Now this has to do, I've already made, so in other words, look, I'm not going to go back into a long other description of why and how the police are involved and what's the additional criminal motivations outside of human trafficking, like syndicated probate control. So go back and look at any of my videos that talk about learning disabled woman exposes the methods of gang stalking, learning disabled woman exposes, learning disabled woman makes hiking area predictions, or learning disabled woman makes predictions, and you'll run across enough videos eventually to see me explaining why this is happening. Okay, so when I leave this area every day, I lock the tent up. I then pull the black flap in front of it. I tie that down, okay? And then I take my garbage with me, which you can see is ready to almost be taken away with me. I bother no one. I'm not involved in any illegal activity. I don't do drugs. I don't drink. I don't steal. I don't sleep around. I'm not mentally ill. And I'm not a threat to myself or others, okay? What I am doing is surviving this bullshit, exposing it, and being retaliated because I'm exposing it, and the things that are happening to me because of the attempts. They believe that wearing the target down mentally, periodically assaulting them, is their whole goal is to basically wear you down like you wear out a pair of blue jeans, like you break a horse. Okay, that's right. There's a lot of different techniques and a lot of different sub-motivations that have to be achieved concerning them before they can achieve the ultimate motivation, which is exploitation, racketeering, insurance fraud, and human trafficking, and more. But there's a lot of sub-motivations that have to be achieved before they can achieve the ultimate one. So, what I do is, again, predict what they're going to do before they do it. They then do it. I expose what they do. Okay? And then, you know another thing they're freaking doing? They're trying to make it appear, I believe, on police reports and campus safety reports that I'm taking pictures of people for no reason, and that is the reason why I'm being banned from libraries, and that's why I'm being assaulted. They're placing people along my routes to assault me, and then using the excuse that the assault happened because I'm taking video pictures of people for no reason. That's right. These are the statements that I already know for a fact that are more than likely already being put in incident reports and police reports. And in closing, check it out. They don't allow a person to get a copy of an incident report unless it's, at least this is what I've been told. You have to subpoena. I've been told by San Diego Police Department headquarters records department that you have to have a subpoena to get a copy of an incident report. And why is that? Because racketeering and probate control is a motivation of these criminal realities. In order to do that, they need to try and prove that you're a threat to yourself or others, mentally ill, or can't take care of yourself, or a combination of all three. So whenever they stage an event and an incident report or a police report is made, they keep it. And they keep it until they attempt to try to use it in probate court. But if this shit starts to go sideways against them, they can then go back before any incident reports are subpoenaed and alter them to make it reflect, and so they can take out anything that they were actually going to use against you, so it doesn't look obvious that they were falsifying. Do you see what I'm saying? So right now what they're doing is holding on to them until they can see how well their expedition can transpire its motivation. If it starts to go sideways on them, they can then go back and then re-alter it. Okay? That's right. You would not believe the alterations and the complete lies that were put in the police report concerning that MTS assault, and how facts were omitted. You just would not believe what I know. This is organized crime in a system, baby cakes, who they're attached to a huge amount of different criminal aspirations and motivations. Alright, so this video applies for every single day and night period that I am at this hiking area. If I'm assaulted again here, if I come home on any date and my property is missing and or a trespass notice is put here, okay, it'll be gang stalking related, and you better believe any filthy bitch that they bring down here, including the syndicated whore-ass cops that they bring down here after an event occurs or a person calls the cops, they're gonna lie. Do you really think that these people are gonna approach me and say, Leslie, I'm in your physical proximity right now because we're gang stalking you and we want to eventually human traffic you? So we thought we'd tell you the truth, even though the people who placed us here told us that you have a tape recorder. So we don't care anyways. We're still going to tell you the truth right to your face so you can even tape record it. Of course they're not. And the person or persons who are managing this do know I wear a tape recorder. It's all over my video files. Cyber surveillance is the methodology of these crimes in reference to what the perpetrators do. So They're not going to approach me and ever say, Leslie, we're doing this intentionally. No. What they're going to do is play out what is known as staged events, street theaters. And when they stage these events, they will also stage the witnesses. You would not believe what I know. You just would not believe it. So everything that I described in this video, you can go to Google and YouTube and meticulously research it, cross-reference what comes up, synthesize it, and you will conclude that, in fact, you know, in closing, let me just say this and then I gotta go. Go to Google and type in a gang stalking tech, everything you need to know. It is a manifesto of a manager of gang stalking crews. It's been scrutinized by extremely seasoned and educated targets, including myself, and journalists. And we have all concluded the same thing, that it is an actual manifesto of a manager of gang stalking crews. Now, this person flat out states that they stage events. Okay, they're called, it's the section of the manifesto that has to do with how this person who wrote the manifesto stated that he is in charge of the scripting, observation, and execution part of the syndicate, which means that they script, okay, staged events, they then orchestrate them, and then execute them. That's why the spions are mentioned, people who spy on the target, and the playwrights, the individuals who play out what is written. Staged events. Okay, that's right. So, understand this and be clear. All of this is achieved through secrecy, lies, covertly created cooperating relationships, employment descriptions, surveillance, and tracking. Alright, so I gotta go. So if I am assaulted at this area, if any problems happen to any of my property, including property that is hidden close by, completely out of sight, if I come back and there's a trespass notice put at the area where the tent was at, they might come here and take the tent and then leave a trespass notice, or they might put a trespass notice on the tent. I'm gonna tell you right now, they're eventually gonna probably next use the property owner, okay, or a neighbor. Now, when you go to Google and YouTube and type in gang stalking bullying on steroids, you'll flat out see that neighbors are brought on board in gang stalking. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Okay? And you can also Google gang stalking in police, gang stalking in police departments, organized stalking in police, organized stalking in police departments. You can pretty much basically just Google the entire expedition. Okay? These people are the worst of the worst. They're filthy, wild, criminal, whore, sewer rats. Anybody that attempts to human traffic anybody is a filthy friggin' animal. Okay, take that to your heart, your mind, and your soul. Do you really think that I'm living this way because I wanted to? No. They literally stole my rent that was mailed, certified mail return receipt. In closing, go to Google and YouTube and type in organized stalking or gang stalking and post employees, and then in a separate search, mail theft and mail delayment and gang stalking. I gotta get today's date again is July 27, 2014, and I am making these predictions on this date. I do appreciate listening, and have a nice day.